Our Torah portion. This week we will be going over Torah portions number 27 and number 28. Number 27 is TAZRIA, and number 28 is METZORA. TAZRIA means leprosy, and METZORA means cleansing the leper. You will find these portions in Leviticus, starting at chapter 12, verse 1, through chapter 15, verse 33. Let us go to chapter 12. I will read the first two verses. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed, and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. According to the days of the separation for her infirmity shall she be unclean. This chapter talks about the conception of a child. And what you find is Yahweh giving instructions as to how this should be handled. Because once a woman has a child, she is considered to be impure. And she's no longer able to stay within the congregation, and she is set outside the camp, and it's done for a certain number of days until her purification is complete. Now, specifically, it talks about if a woman has a boy, then she has 7 days of separation. On that 8th day, the boy is circumcised. She has an additional 33 days where she is considered impure, and she has days of purification, 33 days. During this time, she can touch nothing that is holy. She cannot come to the sanctuary or the temple, and she must fulfill this. The scriptures also tell us if she has a girl, then she also has the 7 days, and then an additional 66 days where she is to be separated, set apart, until she is no longer impure. Once the mother has completed her total days of purification, she then must go to the priest and present a burnt offering and a sin offering. This is typically a 1-year-old lamb and turtle doves, pigeons, whatever, they require. And the priest then goes before Yahweh, presents the offerings, and then returns to the mother and declares her clean, or she is now pure again and can return to the congregation and resume living among those that she loves. I want to point out the words purify, priest, and atonement, because we'll be hearing it again a little later. During my research, I found that TAZRIA was also called She Will Conceive, because this chapter specifically talks about the mother and the birth of a child and the time in which she has to go through purification. It has nothing to do with leprosy, but it has to do with being impure or unclean. Now we'll move on to METZORA. This is Torah portion number 28, which is leprosy. Leprosy is a skin condition. This skin condition is discussed in detail from Leviticus chapter 13 through Leviticus 15, verse 33. It's a skin disease that is described, and I will read to you now from chapter 13, verse 1 and 2. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses and Aaron, saying, When a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or a bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priest. Now, once you're brought to the priest, The priest has the job of determining what exactly is going on with your skin, just as if it were a physician. And he looks at the various stages of the spot on your skin or the sore or the scab. He looks at the coloring, the depth of the sore, the hairs and the color of the hairs, and the state of the spread on the skin. And the priest is the one to examine the person, and this would be from head to the soles of his feet. Now, once he does this, he makes a determination and then determines whether or not the person is pure or impure. And he uses the words clean or unclean. METZORA is the process to deal with cleansing the leper. And this once again takes us to the outside of the camp, because someone who's determined to be unclean has to be separated. They have to be separated just as the mother did for 7 days. And then the priest will re-examine the person and determine whether or not it is spreading, if it is gone, and the priest will then declare the person to be clean or unclean. If after that first 7 days it is determined that it's still there, the process continues for another 7 days. And you get a 14-day period where this person is set apart, away from the camp, away from the congregation, away from loved ones. This reminds me of Miriam, Aaron and Moses' sister. And in Numbers 12, the story talks of how she was afflicted with leprosy from Yahweh when she spoke against Moses' wife. There is understanding that when we have sin in our heart, that which comes out of our mouth brings about this leprosy. So there were many who felt that leprosy was an indictment of unclean heart, unclean lips, speaking against others, and it was a punishment from Yahweh for not treating your neighbor kindly. So that was another thing that I wanted to throw in there. So when we get back to the priest, I find that him standing, in the place of the person, the leper, for atonement brings me to the New Testament. And that brings me to Yahshua, who is our high priest. And Yahshua was the great sacrifice for us, the offering. And he did a final atonement for us with the shedding of his blood. And so I just want to bring us to today. And even as we're living in this world where there's COVID-19 surrounding us worldwide, I can't help but think that we've been asked to be set apart, all in our homes, in our states, in our nations, in our various countries, for a time to sit back and reflect that have we done something that has totally disappointed Yahweh? Are we in need of cleansing? My answer would be yes. We have done so many things as human beings on this earth. And we need to sit back and reflect, seek Yahweh's face, and allow Yahshua's cleansing and forever atonement to wash us clean from all our sins and unrighteousness, so that we can once again be declared clean or no longer impure. If we look at Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 to 4, we'll find a moment when Yeshua came down from the mountain, and great multitudes followed him. And there came a leper and worshipped him, saying, Elohim, if you will, can you make me clean? He says, thou canst make me clean. And Yeshua put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Yeshua said unto him, see thou tell no man, but go thy way. Show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a testimony unto them. Now, what you find here is that Yeshua continues with the commandment and asks this leper to go to the priest and offer the gift. The gift, if you remember, would be the burnt offering of a lamb or turtle dove or a pigeon. And he said that it would be for a testimony unto them. The nice thing about all of this is we have Yeshua as our priest today. So if you also switch over to the woman who had the issue of blood, she went to Yeshua, again, seeking that cleansing, knowing that there was impurities, knowing that she was unclean. We are all unclean when it comes to the ways of this world and the world we're living in. The fact that this world has been shut down from everything that once went on and life is not as we once knew it, we must, as Israel, ask for that cleansing, sit back and reflect, and offer the sacrifice of praise, the sacrifice of worship, and receive it willingly and be determined to go forth and walk, this narrow way, in such a way that our light shines and makes a difference in this world. I hope that you've enjoyed this brief review of Torah Portions number 27, TAZRIA, and METZORA number 28, regarding leprosy, the cleansing of the leper. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.